you happen to have Instagram as well as Facebook, please tag us along the way because I can't see what you're doing on your end. Again, welcome. And our Instagram is artforfun80 with an underscore in between. I always ask to come in around this time at 1:30. It's just to kind of set up and say hi and kind of answer any questions if you have any. We are going to paint our pet today with a beautiful sunset. I already started with some pencil lines to kind of guide me to what I need to have prior to painting. I always do this. This is very helpful. I made if you haven't drawn your animal on a piece of paper, this is about a quarter big. If you fold your paper in fours, this will be that size, 1/4 of that page. It will fit perfectly there on that canvas. Like I said, welcome and thank you for joining me today. We just started this a few months ago and I'm having a lot of fun sharing with all of you guys the knowledge that I have with painting and drawing. I do hope you enjoy this hour and have a lot of fun with me today. I'm gonna wait for people to kind of show up to the virtual link. If you're having issues with the link, it could be because you probably need to ask to be a friend, or if my friend sent you this link to be part of, you do have to request that. Again, my name is Yenny, and we'll wait for a few of you guys. In the meantime, as we wait to start, we could get our palette started. And what I did is have my orange, my yellow, my black, white, and blue. If you do not have orange already made, it's pretty easy to do so. You just blend a little bit of yellow and a little bit of red, and that will make your orange. Again, that's the palette. And we're going to continue using the same brushes since we have from the beginning. And that's a quarter. This is what this is what a 1-inch brush looks like. It could come in this form. They also have foam sponges that you could use as well. And then we're gonna need a quarter brush and a point brush. Point is usually used for detail. It's a better handle on how much paint you add to your canvas. And we're gonna be using the square brush to fill our object. And we are going to use your 1-inch brush to do your sky and water. Remember the rules, we always wet our brushes prior to adding paint to them. But prior to putting paint to them, we always want to clean up our brushes with a napkin on your hand, or put one by your easel or by your working station. Like I said, if you want to get started with the canvas, just drawing some of those lines to help you separate your sky, your water, and your sand. I split up my canvas in 3 parts, doing a third straight line for the sky, and do another third towards the bottom for my sand. Make sure you do like a slope there. Your animal is going to be placed right in the center of that sand hill, facing the sunset. And if you have any questions, you could just type them up in the chat room, and Jeremy will be answering any questions, any concerns, or just saying hello. You know, if you're just here watching, thank you so much for coming back. We're excited about this project, and we have so many coming up in the next months. Like I said, just
Steven said hi.
Who?
Steven.
Hey, Steven. Thank you for stopping by. It's always great to have another artist come by and kind of watch you work, or just to say hello. Again, I think we're about an hour, about 1:40 at the moment. Let's start getting, like I said, start getting your palette. This is what it looks like. Get some water on your cup, maybe halfway. Make sure you go and get your drink of choice to have an hour full of fun. Facts. I did send you guys a few links to, not links, I sent you black and white silhouettes of different animals. Like I mentioned, I am going to teach you how to draw without this. We're going to take it in parts. So if you are doing a cat, or I think I sent a bunny or a rabbit, it's going to be the same for every pet. Just measure, and we're going to use it about, your pet needs to fit right in the center of that hill slope that we drew, and your water. It should be placed right in the center, and that's how you could know your size. Just a few details about myself. I've been an acrylic artist for 20, I want to say 20 years. I started with basics, taking some courses in college. I loved it, I fell in love with it. Never did art before that. So this is an opportunity for me to share with all of you guys, and as well as connect with all the members that follow us on the Art for Fun Facebook page. My knowledge has increased through the years of me doing acrylic arts, and I want to say I'm way better than the beginning. You know, we always start somewhere, so this could turn out to be an excellent hobby or a therapy part of your life as well. Like I said, we'll get started in a few minutes. If you are ready with your canvas, this could be applied to any size of canvas. If you're a goal-getter and you got yourself a 16 by 20, you know, just split that canvas to that third of that canvas should be your sky, and then your bottom should be split either half, or again 1/3 of the bottom to be your sand, the hill of sand that we're gonna paint, and it's gonna be applied to the same 12 by 16, even 18 by 24. You know, when I started, I was painting in large, you know, 18 by 24, even 30 by 36. They have so many sizes out there. But for this type of painting parties, 11 by 14 is probably best. It's less space to fill out. Let me mention a few things. I said in the last video, but Michael's is the best place to get your paints. They're reasonable and they're good quality. I think I mentioned it before that I've been using them for years, and my paintings look really nice still. Yeah, if you get your basics, which is black, white, red, blue, and green, you can make a lot of colors just using your basic colors. I'm excited. So for the next month, we're going to be doing a Halloween theme. So if you have any suggestions, put them in the chat box. Oh, Jacqueline, thank you for coming back. Hola. Jacqueline's been with us from the beginning, and she'll send me pictures of what she created on that end. So that's always nice to see what you guys create on the other side. And like Jacqueline, please send me photos of your complete painting today so we can post them on the page and share it with everybody. I think we could get started. Jacqueline, si tienes alguna pregunta, ponla en el chat, pero ya vamos a empezar. Alright guys, so let's get started. Like I mentioned before, let's break our canvas if you haven't done so. Let's use a pencil for now. I like Sharpies, but not for water and sky, so try not to Sharpie in those lines. Leave it in pencil. So we should split 1/3 And then the rest of it, again, separate how big you want that sand. And remember, this part's gonna be water. Use the reference that I put in the event page to draw your cat, dog. If you have multiple dogs, make a straight line maybe, or make just a slope not too steep like I did. Try to keep it straight so you can align all your pets if you have more than one. All right, guys, well, I did my template in advance. You see, kind of resembles my dog a little. It's a Chihuahua. I'm gonna place them, like I said, there. Remember, you want it right in the middle of that slope. I'm gonna pin it down with my finger, and I'm gonna trace it first with the pencil. And when you're tracing, you could do a quick trace. It doesn't have to be perfect. We just want the placement of our animal. You could always come back and make some adjustments. Yeah, and don't forget to play some music on your background. Music can help us relax a little and have a better experience with what we're painting. Okay guys, there's my brief sketch. There's my tail. And what I'm going to do to kind of help me see better, I'm going to trace my dog, because remember, he's going to be black. Your animal is going to be a silhouette. So it's a good idea. It helps us to, when we put paint on our canvas, it will hide the Sharpie lines, and it'll be better to put our paint over it. Oh, thank you, Steven. You know what? Yeah, that's actually a good idea. We could do a Day of the Dead, maybe a sugar skull in October. Maybe, yeah, we could do the good idea, Steven. I like that idea. I love Day of the Dead, so Dia de los Muertos would be a great way. We could probably do a sugar skull with some golden, I forgot the name in English, but I know it in Spanish. The marigolds, there you go, the marigolds, which is a flower used in Mexico a lot. It's a symbol for Day of the Dead in Mexico, and they're like in this nice bright orange, yellow colors. Yeah, I like that idea. Well, so far this is what we have. So make sure you have your separation of your sky. This is gonna be our water. Again, my little hill. Again, suggestion, if you have more than one pet, make this a straight line. It'll help you have a better placement for all your pets. All right, so I already traced, I already did my lines, and I don't know if you could see the lines, but they're very light. And that's what we want. We don't want a harsh line because it's gonna be sand, water, and then our sky. And don't worry so much about that sun that our sunset has. We're gonna apply that one towards the end. All right, guys, remember, we start with 1 inch. Remember our process. We are going to wet our brush as so. Shake it a little in there so that water could go back. We're gonna dab it on a napkin a bit so it's not too wet. If you have dripping water coming from your brush, make sure you clean that off, because that will turn to a watering painting. And we are going to start with our sky and our sand. So we are going to use orange first. And about this much. And I'm going to outline that pencil line. This is my water and sky. So when you apply, when we're blending two colors, I like to apply my color in a zigzag effect. And this is what I mean. I'll paint, I'll leave some gaps there. And I'm not brushing, I don't know if you could see, I'm brushing this way. The narrow way, not the wide way. If you do the wide, you get like bigger strokes. If you do the narrow way, you get nice lines. And I don't know if you're like me, but when I see that sky every day, I don't see perfect lines. And so, you know, just have fun with it. Just add a bunch of random lines there. We need some of that white space for our yellow. I want it more orangey, so I'm gonna repeat the same line strokes I already did. There you go. I'm going to paint the top part of my canvas and the sides for that section. I'm not gonna do this one, that's gonna be yellow. Alright, so you should have about this much. And without cleaning that brush, we're going to add our yellow. I know you're probably thinking, why not? But there's a reason. When you paint on wet, you want to make sure you have both colors on your brush so the blending can be nice and clean. So on your brush, you should have like a marble effect. Then I'm going to come back to those sections that left white, as so, and I'm going to brush into the orange. I'm going to put my brush. You want to brush into the orange. When we do tones, two colors together, we always brush into each color. Don't worry that it's blending too much. We're gonna come back with yellow in a bit. So just kind of blend that into the orange. Do the same thing on the other end. Brush into it. Add some more yellow. Alright. I don't know if you could see it on the camera, but you could see where the yellows and the oranges are mixing together. For the next step, this is where you clean your brush. And you can do that by soaking it in the water and just cleaning it with a napkin. We just want some of that orange to kind of go away. So I could apply a brighter yellow. And you know what's so neat? If you go in and you just leave those chunky lines of paint, it gives it texture and it creates more of a 2D painting than a flat painting. I like to do that a lot with my water and sky. There you go. I'm going to come in a little closer to that water base because I want some yellow in there. And I'm going to apply it to the next side. And if yours is blending too much, you could just give it a few minutes in between and you could paint on dry. I love this effect when I do wet on wet on paint. I think it turns out pretty cool. So I'm going to keep mine that way. I could see now that I need some orange in the center more. And this is where you could apply your brush the wide way, which is this way. And I'm applying it in the center. And I'm going to come back to finish up with some lines. Get that consistency of the flow. All right. Don't stress out about those heavy lines. I don't think we have a perfect sky. Clouds and those colors in the sky are always different. All right. So I like that. So in my end, I'm gonna keep it. I'm just gonna add some more yellow on this side. That's so. There you go. Don't forget to do your sides, remember, on both ends. Alright, this is where I'm going to clean my brush only because our sand at the bottom, we are going to mix some orange and yellow and white to make it a lighter color. And I don't want that much paint. So again, remember, clean it with water and then wipe it on a napkin. So like I mentioned, I always suggest 2 plates just so we could do our blending on the second plate. And remember, we want a different shade of those 2 colors together. So I'm gonna blend it a bit. Blend enough to have enough for that bottom part. Sometimes it's hard to come up with the same color twice or 3 times. So always mix enough. So I'm mixing like a quarter of that plate in that corner. I'm gonna add some yellow to it so it can get lighter. I don't know if you can see it, but see it got lighter with my white. That's perfect. Because we don't want it to be as bright as our sky. We want it lighter. Again, I'm gonna add a little more white. I want it lighter. You don't need to clean this brush with water. Use that paint on your brush. And I'm gonna outline. And yes, I'm gonna go over my pet. It's okay. You just, as long as you can see those lines, you're okay. If you can't see those, that means you went too thick on your paint. So probably wipe some of it off. So for the next step, there's no wrong way. I like to kind of swirl because this sand is a floor. So I just like to swirl my color in. So it doesn't have to be too perfect. Remember sand? Just gonna give it a few swirls there. For this step, you just need 1 layer of that. We could make it more chunky towards the end. Once we have our pet in color, we could come back and make chunky lines. And I can show you once we're ready in that step. All right. So remember to do your sides. Don't worry so much about the bottom. You can do it towards the end. But you should have this, my sky, and there's that bottom part with my sand. After that part, now you clean that brush because we're gonna move to our blue. Sometimes we need a lot of napkins, so make sure you have a lot of napkins on hand. And I'm gonna try to get it as clean as I can to get rid of that yellow and orange. This should be pretty clean. Don't forget to sip your drink. Well, I hope you guys are enjoying it so far. I know I am. Ever since I have the doggy, it's been a good experience. It's bad experiences, but I try to focus on the good ones. And man, he's an amazing addition to my life. So this painting was very special because to me I'm painting him. You know, a part of me. And what better than a sunset, right? Sunset brings a lot of like positive energy, calmness, and that peace of mind. There you go. We have our sides, we have our top, right? So let's dig in with the water. So let's put some blue on that brush. A lot of blue. And try to keep it a straight line up here in between the colors. All the way across. And remember, your first coat of color is always gonna look transparent, a little bit translucent, and it's okay, because we're gonna come back with the second coat. So right now we should fill this space with blue. Remember, it's very important to, when we apply water, water goes side to side. It never goes up and down. So always make sure that when we're brushing, you're brushing side to side in this direction, right? You don't want to paint up and down. You could do straight lines, or you can already do some curved lines in there. And whatever lines you want to do, this is just to imprint a oh my gosh, I lost the word. To imprint the water texture. So if you're gonna do waves, this is how you would do waves. You just wave in the color, you skip, you wave on top of it, you wave below it. But that's how we're imprinting the shape of water that we're about to create. I like to keep it straight, so I am going to keep it side to side. And it's amazing when we paint on wet because we could always come back and kind of reshape what we're working with. I'm almost to the bottom. Remember that shape that you did down there? Do the same thing, follow it. So I'm gonna follow that shape. Like that. And I'm gonna finish up. We are going to apply a second layer to this blue, but we need a few minutes in between. It will never get darker if you paint on wet. You need to let the paint settle for a bit, for a few minutes. You can come back and add a second layer. Alright, so my entire front is painted. I'm gonna go ahead and paint my sides. You know, I had an art instructor in college and he hated when we didn't do our sides. So that's where I get that from. You know, he always said it, he would always tell the class that an art piece should always be wrapped. Because if you hang it on the wall and you look at it sideways, you know, it gives it a nice perspective if you have that finished look. So that's one of those things that I learned in school, and I still apply it to all my art. So there's my first coat. I don't know if you could tell, but you could see through those colors, you could still see my black lines. So when I go in with paint, it's gonna look nice and solid and crisp. Remember, you have to stop at one point, so if you added one layer of that water, let it rest for a few minutes. In the meantime, you could wash your brush or, you know, just go get yourself another drink, a snack. And keep on leaving comments. I do kind of glance at them. Jeremy is my business partner, and he is on the other end kind of answering and available for your guys' questions. Look at this color combination. So if you mix orange, yellow, and blue, you get teal. That's how we make teal, with those three color combinations. I don't know if you knew that. And you can tell by the color of the water. Did you know that, Jeremy?
No.
That's how you make teal. Yellow, orange, and blue. You do like an aqua. If you mix green and blue, it'll just be like a darker, very dark shade of that teal or aqua blue. And you know your painting is dry when you look at it, like on the sides. If it looks shiny, it's still wet. Matte or dull means dry.
Good.
And remember, right now that I wash my brush, make sure you shake it on your hand and make sure there's no extra water. Because we're so far in the painting that if you were to have too much water in there, it's going to make it runny. So either we have to kind of go with it or, you know, wipe off the entire area and start again. So just make sure you always clean that brush with a napkin prior to adding paint on it. Mine looks about halfway dry, so I'm gonna go ahead and apply my second layer of blue. Again, I'm going in the same direction, and it's okay if you have some areas still like lighter than others. And then about halfway of that painting, we're gonna add white to our dirty brush. So remember that whole marble effect? That's what we should have in our brush. So we come like halfway of that. I'm gonna start mixing a lighter shade of that blue. I don't know if you guys ever pay attention at the ocean, but the ocean is not a solid blue color. It's a mixture of different shades of that blue. So that's what we're trying to recreate. And remember, if you went too light, you could come back with blue and fix that. Don't forget to do your slope. There we go. I'm gonna come out with a few lines in there. Remember, don't paint around your pet over it. Paint over your pet. Because those black lines, they're gonna be covered in paint anyways. This is just to give us a reference, and it makes it a little faster and easier than drawing on wet paint. So I'm trying to be a little happy with, I think I'm okay with my water. Just add a few more white to it. Try to keep the back dark. Again, it's one of those water references. When I go to the ocean, when I look at the water, I look at the back being more dark than the front. And I think I'm about to be finishing. Again, wrap that color around a little. So there you go. There's my water, my sky, my sand. Remember, don't worry about that sun so much. We're applying it towards the end. For this step, we are going to wait to paint our pet, because it needs to be pretty dry so we can apply our black. If you want to keep it more pop art, you could always paint your pet maybe in an orange or that yellow color. It's really up to you. If you're gonna do that, you wanna give it a coat on that pet, and it's gonna be in white. So we'll kind of let it sit for a few minutes. In the meantime, while this is drying, we could now maybe kind of briefly touch your canvas, the top part. If your fingers don't have any paint, that means it's dry. So we could go ahead and do that sun in this area and kind of play with our sky a little, maybe add some white with yellow, some clouds in there while this is drying. For that, we're gonna be using our square brush. Remember the same technique, we're gonna wet our brush. Like so. I'm gonna mix some yellow and white. Just do a lighter shade of that. Here's my brush full of that light yellow. This should be the consistency that you're looking for. So our sun is gonna be like in that direction right there. So we do like a rainbow, right? Doesn't have to be perfect. And then draw like a straight line with your brush along the water. Then we're gonna fill this out. And if you wanna go ahead and wanna do an entire sun, please do so. You know, do this painting as much as your style and what's gonna make you happy when you see it hung on the wall. There you go. So there's my little sun. I'm gonna let that dry a little and add some yellow and white to it to make it brighter. With the same color, I'm gonna come in here, and the way you make clouds with this brush, you rub kind of like in a circular motion. So if I come in and want to add here a cloud, I'm gonna kind of do a little circular. I'm rubbing my brush into the canvas. There's one. Maybe come over here, flip my canvas a little. I'm circular. I'm kind of fade it out. Remember, clouds are not perfect. Maybe do another one here. Remember that technique? We want to do it in circles. Go a little wider, and then it gets narrow as we fade it out into our sky. It's not staying. There you go. So just work on those clouds. Do as many as you want, but don't cover the entire sky. Remember, these are just like little peekaboos of clouds to our sunset. And you can add some of those highlights on the bottom as well, towards the sun. I'm not gonna add too many clouds, maybe one more, and I'm gonna be done with that. There we go. Maybe a little more up here. It's too faded. Maybe some harsh lines. Harsh means to leave that chunky paint on your canvas. There we go. I'm pretty satisfied with that. Maybe you can see it. So by now our sun should be kind of dry. This is where we just put white on that dirty brush. And we can come back and give it another coat. We need this so when we come back with straight yellow, it's gonna be pretty bright and solid. We need like a coat, another base. To see how my sun looks so yellow. Let you reshape it again. Guys, you could always reshape elements on your paintings. But just remember that when we reshape elements, they're always gonna get wider. We can't make narrow with art. Unless you start from scratch. You know, if you make little mistakes, just come back to them and add more paint to them. They're happy mistakes. That's what we call them in art. Remember the whole pale matte look. If you touch briefly where your animals are at, if they feel dry, that means it's almost ready for us to go in and put that black in our pet. Yeah, start playing around with the textures of the sun, you know, with your paints. This is where we can leave things texture by adding chunky paint to our canvas. There we go. I'm gonna add a few lines coming out of the sun in this direction, maybe. That's like getting lost in that sky, clouds, and there we go. I should almost dip my brush on my coffee. Guys, make sure you put your drink in the opposite part of where you're working on. Guilty, I had them next to each other and I almost dipped my brush on my coffee. So we're gonna fix the little imperfections I just saw that I'm not happy with, and then, so at this point, we have our sky with our sun. Remember the process? We did light yellow for the sun. We let it dry for a few minutes. We applied white to the sun. So I don't know if you can see, but that yellow is pretty bright. You need the white undercoat for any color to pop. I did some clouds on the part of the sky. Our sand. We're gonna worry about the texture of the sand once we're done with our pit. That's gonna be the last thing we're gonna do. You know, always it's fun to add little birds to our canvas. You know, like the silhouette of them kind of flying in the distance. You could do that as well. You could be more bold about your clouds, and you could literally make them white if you want. And if you had other colors and if you added pinks to your sky, please send me pictures. I'm really excited to see what everybody did. On my end, my pen is dry. Oops, that's thin. Remember that thin brush I presented at the beginning? Right, Steven? I think that's every artist's little joke. I see it all the time. You know, we end up dipping our brush into the wrong drink or drinking the wrong drink for having it too close to you. You know, we've seen that in some of the parties we do because we do private events as well. Well, this is drawing. Let me tell you a little bit about our company. We started with only private parties, but in the few years, we started with private parties, and we kind of grew into doing school events, fundraisers, church events, even virtual events. I had no idea that there's schools out there that still function virtually, which is pretty cool. And I think that COVID probably affected all of us for sure. You know, we were all not all ready to come up to the world. You know, and that's I respect that. But yeah, we do all kinds of events. You know that you could celebrate anything with a painting party. Anything. I done bachelorette parties. I done where they got married and they're celebrating, you know, with their most closest friends with art. You know, art, it's a great therapy. It's a great way to relax and kind of let all your energy out into that canvas. You know, and, you know, some people start as just being part of a paint and sip, but in reality, you know, art is like an internal therapy, which is a great way to stay balanced and focused in life, right?
People want to follow along, you get paint kits. If people want to follow along, you get paint kits.
Oh yes, guys. So we do have painting kits available. Every month we're gonna be doing these free virtual parties. Our painting kits are $25 and you get everything. You get a disposable apron, you get your paints, your brushes, your canvas. And some of these paintings, the canvas is going to be pre-traced for you. This is just in case you're not good with that pencil, you know, makes it a little more easy and fun for you. With everything, the paints, brushes, a cup, a plate, you name it. Everything as a personal, like doing a in-person painting party, you'll get the same treatment with the painting kit. Yeah, so they're available. You could direct message us or you could go through the website. Our website is www.artforfun with a hyphen in between .com, and you could see the latest events on our website and and our virtual painting parties. Okay guys, I think by now you should have your sky ready, your water is ready. I think it's ready to put some color in our pets. Pointy brush. I know sometimes it looks a little messy, but look, once you wet that brush and you roll it on a napkin or your color palette, it gets pretty pointy. So I'm gonna use this brush. Our next color we're gonna use is black. And if you're enjoying this so much, make sure you get yourself, you know, good supplies. Get a pencil, an eraser, you know, a Sharpie, you know, things that you could just keep them in a little box or so you could be ready for each virtual party. And we also have a YouTube, guys. I totally forgot. YouTube. We started a YouTube channel, which you are going to have access to for free. We're going to be uploading tutorials weekly on how to paint for kids and tutorials for adults as well. All right, point brush. Let's get some black to our point brush. And don't throw your palette away until we're totally finished. Because if you need to retouch, we always want to make sure we have our colors blended and ready to go. All right, guys, I'm gonna get going. I'm gonna start. So remember that line you drew? We're just gonna go over it with black paint. I know I started drawing lines with the brush. However, if you do have a Sharpie and you want to see things, your lines nice and clear, guys, go back to with the Sharpie and go over those lines. And if you could see that, just so I could help you, guide you better. So right now we're painting our pets. I hope somebody did a cat. I would love to see the cat version of this. Remember to do a brief outline. We just need it so it can show us the placement of it. We're gonna come back with our square brush. Remember the little square brush we had? We're gonna end up using this one to color in our pet. But right now we should be outlining. And this painting will be available for painting kits as well. And like I mentioned, the link will be on our website if you guys want to purchase this for your kids or for yourselves. Hi guys, so there's my outline of my pet. So I'm going to be using the point brush to actually paint the tail. This is such a small area. Paint my tail. Remember, you're not going to make things solid by going over and over the same area. You have to do one area, let it dry. Then by the second time by the time we're done with our dog, that first area is going to be dry, and we can retouch those lighter areas. But give yourself that opportunity to just go in with one layer. Again, this little point brush, see how the difference? You really can cover a lot. But if you come back with the square brush, you can cover more. And guys, you can literally leave chunky paint on this as well. This is like the final steps. You can make your pet chunky and furry if you want by leaving that chunky paint on it. Well, my pet's name is Eve. So if you have any, you have a name for your pet, put it in the chat. You should probably name your painting your pet name. So this would be Eve at the beach. Remember guys, just do one coat first, and then we can come back and finish it up once it dries a bit with our second coat. Well, I'm finishing up my first coat. I don't know if you could see, but I don't know if you could see like chunky paint on it. Alright. So guys, since we need to let that dry a bit to do our second coat, let's add that texture to our sand that I told you guys about. I'm going to show you how. Again, wash that brush in that teal water, or if you got a new clean water, I just keep the same water through the end. So there's my brushes clean. Remember that mixture we did on the separate plate for our sand? We want to add more white to it. I don't know if you can see the blend, but it's going to get really light. And we need to do enough to do our effect. So you have to see the contrast. If you don't see that contrast of the darker orange to the lighter, you need to add more white. And we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna come in, and remember that whole circular. I'm gonna do the same thing. I don't know if you can see, but I'm gonna just try not to touch your pet yet because he's still wet, so kind of work around it. This is where we're adding a little dimension to our sand. And guess what? If you don't like it, you're like, you know what? I really don't like it. It's too light. Just go over it again with the initial color. I like to add chunky to my paintings. I think it adds texture and character. Alright, I think I'm finishing up my sand. Remember to wrap it a little. Remember that bottom, we're gonna handle that at the end. And I got some of that nice. Hey guys, I don't know if you can see, but I'm going back and I'm adding that the darker color throughout the bottom part and in between my lighter color. Alright, so there's my sand. Okay guys, keep an eye on your dog, on your cat, or whatever pet you added to your painting. So remember, as soon as you see that paint dries and is dull, go back and retouch those areas that you can still see the background. You could also apply chunk by stamping. It's a cool technique as well. If you come in and you just stamp with the brush and leave those little dot imprints on your sand, also you could do it that way. I'm gonna do some on both sides. Remember guys, we're not creating any waves for this picture because the dog is up in a little hill. So the water's on the other side of that hill. So that's why we're not applying any type of waves this time, because the dog is looking in a hill into the sunset. And we'll apply these colors in a bit down here, so everything can balance out. We're stamping our sand texture. Right guys, I'm finishing this up. I don't know if you can see that texture, but if you move your canvas around, you can see some of that stamping texture down there. No, I'm gonna be honest, I applied so much paint to my dog. My dog is pretty solid, you know, so if you're like me and it's pretty solid, there's a few more things we're gonna add to the painting. One, well, when you sit on sand, you kind of cave in a little. You don't float on the sand. So what I like to do, get some of that either dark or light color that you mixed earlier, and I like to go over a little. And if you can see, just kind of do some dabs on the bottom of your animal, and it'll make it look like it's sitting in the sand, not floating. Like so. Remember I mentioned we are going to add some of that yellow and orange to our water, because the sunset always reflects on the water. So I'm gonna grab some, I have to make some more. Let's get some yellow and white. And some orange. So make sure you have like a marble on your brush. This is a marble, meaning I mix some white, yellow with my brush, and I got some orange at the end. Remember guys, red and yellow makes orange. So if you run out of that color, just try your best to blend some more as close as you can. So now I'm gonna start with my sunset, reflecting the water, which you wanna get as close as you can. And I am using the quarter brush to the sun, and I'm gonna do a few. Remember, the back line is always gonna be shorter, and they just get a little longer as you come into the front part of the painting. So remember, just some random lines. Remember, our sunset is sort of in a corner. So you don't want to do too many lines. You don't want to go too much low up into the water. Then I'm gonna get some yellows. Maybe some over here. I don't know about you guys, but when I look at those sunsets, the sunset could be very far away on the left, but all the way on the right, you'll still see some of those colors. So somehow, you know, with the air, who knows, the ozone layers, I don't know what makes those nice reflections on our sky or clouds, but make sure you add also on the farther end of your water. Just a few lines. Okay guys, I lied about my dog. There's some spots that were dry now, and now it looks, I can see the background. So I'm gonna go back, and this time I'm just not gonna blend it. I'm gonna leave it chunky. I want my dog, because my dog is hairy. He's not like no hair, he has a lot of hair. So if you do little circulars with paint, it kind of gives you that hair effect. Guys, so this has been an amazing and fun time. This is what the final product looks like. We have our sunset, our sun, our reflection on the water. We did some highlights on the water. We have our sand. The reason with the sand, I didn't put on the color palette like actual sand color, like a light beige, is because the sky is so powerful with yellow and oranges that is making that reflection into the sand as well. So the sand looks dark, right? And don't forget to add some of it to where your pet is sitting. Add some of that sand, just a few lines there so it can look like it's sinking in the water. I also included paw prints, a page, I believe, of a paw print. You could always draw a little paw print on the sand. I'm not gonna do it. I like mine's the way it is. And remember, it's always good to stand back and look at it. If you're happy with what you have so far, just let it be for now. You know, because we're supposed to paint what makes us happy. We are looking at it all the time, and you don't want to be like walking by and looking like, oh, I should have done that, you know. So just make sure you add exactly how much of that balance of colors that you would like, because you are going to be looking at it. Remember, we didn't do this bottom part. So if you didn't, just grab your big brush and just grab a bunch of yellow and orange. But if you still have some of that mixture, just come back and retouch it. You know, just try to stay on the bottom. Nobody looks at the bottom anyways, but it could just look more complete. Again, some orange and yellow and white will give you that light mix. I don't think I missed any areas. Oh yeah, right here. Alright guys, so here we go. Thank you, Steven. Thank you for stopping by and saying hello and watching other artists. You know, Steven is a great artist. I've been part of the art community for a while now, and I've known him for over 10 years, I think. You know, so it's always a, how do you say that? Nice to know that, you know, artists, we support each other either by stepping in and just even being in the public and watching, or helping with whatever they're demonstrating or doing. So thank you so much, guys, for joining in today. Stay posted on our website and on our Facebook page. We will continue adding events and other virtual parties with dates and time and links so you could share with others. So till next time, thank you guys for watching.